Can I be held without bond for a felony in Illinois?
Well, since Illinois is not a cash bond state, it comes down to the question of whether or not detention is necessary. So there are certain types of felony charges, think the most egregious felonies, actions, things like that, that are actually precluded from being released prior to trial. Mm-hmm. But on the felonies, I don't want to say unserious, but outside of that small classification of felonies where release is not permitted, the question of detention is an ongoing question. Mm-hmm. So at each court appearance, if a defendant's counsel so wishes, they can file a petition for release, or conversely, the state's attorney can file a petition for detention. That happens all the time. Somebody is released, and because through perhaps articulate arguments by defense counsel or a lack of criminal history, the judge goes, okay, well, this person, I can ensure their compliance with this process with very few parameters on their behavior during it. Well, then they go out and they get a new criminal charge, or perhaps there's a substance abuse problem or something like that, sure, where they're demonstrating non-compliance, even though the state's attorney may have had a position that release was fine and applicable, they can file a petition to detain halfway through a case if need be.
What factors affect bond in a Cook County felony case?
I would say the two overarching categories would be, is that defendant a flight risk, and is that defendant an ongoing threat to the public safety of the community? They're also going to look at factors or triggers of stability in that for that person. Oftentimes the judge will ask, are you employed? Are you in school? I've had judges who will freely inquire about criminal history, how many siblings someone has, or what type of family relationship someone has in that area. Do they have children in the area? Have they ever lived anywhere else? Do they have family in other states? I mean, it really matters a lot about criminal history, but then also pedigree information to ensure that the person will be proximately located and able to appear in court.
It's why one of our first tasks as their attorney, mm-hmm, once we're hired and we visit them at the jail or we're speaking to our client's family, is we get a complete, what I would call, social history of our client, of those things, of their education level, their family background. Mm-hmm. Do they own their home? Do they rent? Where do they live? Their ties to the community. If somebody all their ties are there in Chicago, and they family there, they're born and raised in Chicago, mm-hmm, that's going to bode well in terms of they're not a flight risk. Hey, mm-hmm, they own this home here, they have children in Cook County schools. And so our job when we visit a client at the jail the first time is we are getting a complete history, and that is to present our most compelling argument to address those two fundamental issues, which is flight risk or are they a danger to the community.